Shout out to G-Man Boxing.
Alright, Jerwin Ancajas defeats Jonathan Rodrieuez, 12 round UD, hell of a fight. Just literally got finished watching it this morning. I wish I'd watched this fight live because there was so much back and forth. I thought this would be a competitive fight because I knew Rodrieuez can punch a bit. I knew he's a competent fighter, and I knew Ancajas, he'd been IBF champion for a while. You know, he'd been at Superfly for a while. He is, he's not been the most active out of the champions, it has to be said. When he was with Bob Arum, he was quite active. Then he went to PBC. He's had some performances where he's looked really good, and then he's had some other performances where he's looked, all right. Let's just leave it at that. But in this performance here, the only thing I would say about him is that his defense was a little bit off. At times in this fight, at times he was a bit too easy to hit, and Rodrieuez can punch. So he's not a devastating puncher, but he can definitely bang. So when he was leaving his chin out in the air, and especially late on in the fight, the amount of headshots he was hit with clean, where his head was snapping back, was a bit alarming. But I think that he just got kind of so swept into this fight as well that he kind of just said, let's just make offense the best form of defense. He hurt Rodrieuez early in the first round, and that kind of set the tone for how this fight was going to go. It was real ebb and flow, back and forth. The one issue I have with this fight is the judge who scored at 170 and 110, and to an extent the 116 scorecard as well. But the 170 and 110 scorecard was way too wide. This was a lot closer than the judges had it. I'd say about a 5-7 kind of fight, in favour of Ancajas. He was definitely the rightful winner. I mean, no mistake about that. The right guy won the fight. He definitely won it. But I felt that Rodrieuez had a lot more success in this fight than the judges, well, at least that judge anyway, gave him. The 6th round was a good example. The 6th round was probably the best round in this fight. It was just ebb and flow the whole way. Ancajas, his work up close was very good. Whenever he did get Rodrieuez in trouble, he really did put it on him. Like, if you look at the 8th round where he dropped him, he kind of overwhelmed him in that round. He got him up again the corner. He let a flurry of shots go. Rodrieuez went down. He wasn't, out on his feet or anything like that, but you could tell that in Ancajas, he was the bigger puncher, he was the more skilled, he just had the better engine. Even though he was the slightly older man in there at 29, he was just, in basically in the nicest way in every aspect, he was just that little bit better. But Rodrieuez, still very good, still was able to make a great showing in this fight, and I thoroughly enjoyed this fight. I really did. It does take a little bit away when you know the result the next day, but even still, watching this fight, just as a fan, I was thinking, this is a hell of a fight. Ancajas, he'd been a bit out in the wilderness, as I said, but I think that this is the fight he needed to, maybe not needed to prolong his career, because that kind of fight it was a tough fight, so it will take a bit of time to recover from that. But in terms of just getting his name back in the mix there at 115, he definitely needed that fight, So in terms of him moving forward, obviously you got to top at unifications. That's what you want. That's what, the main thing about these divisions are. Unifications at 115 is a bit all over the place because you've got Estrada Chocolatito, who are going to be fighting again, hopefully soon. The only issue is the franchise, but that's neither here nor there. But then you have Kazuto Ioka, who is, I think he doesn't have an opponent lined up. That'd be a good fight. You'd have the Philippines versus Japan. Good history, with fights from Philippines versus Japan. If you look at, Inoue versus Nonito Donaire, hell of a fight. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think that'd be a hell of a competitive fight. Ancajas, one thing I've seen with him over the past has been, I don't want to say inconsistencies with performances, but I've seen him do performances where he's looked really, really good against Israel Gonzalez. And then I forget the guy's name who he drew with. Name slips me. The guy who he had the draw with, I can't remember his name. But that performance there, I remember that, and he did look a bit kind of flat in that. In this, it was very good. He was on point. Defense was a little bit off, but other than that, it was that kind of fight where it was just the out and out, back and forth, ebb and flow kind of fight. So both guys kind of just abandoned defense in that fight and just went at it. Other than that, it was a great fight. I was happy with the result. I thought Ancajas did more what he needed to do. He definitely landed the cleaner shots, he landed the harder shots, he scored the knockdown. But Rodriguez definitely had his fair share of success late on in the fight, especially. Like, I think kind of the 12th round was probably one of his best rounds, and same with the 11th. It was kind of like the last 3 rounds where Rodriguez really came on strong. It seemed like he had a little bit more left in reserve, so I gave him those rounds anyway. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this. Let me know yours in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe of course if you're new. There's a lot of fights on last night, so we got a lot of catching up to do. As for now, I'll talk to you. Peace.